What would you do if the person you were about to marry simply disappeared? Not days before, not weeks, but just hours before the moment you were meant to say, "I do." Imagine the confusion, the fear, and the questions that flood your mind when there's no sign, no clue, no explanation. A wedding day is supposed to be filled with joy and hope, but this story turns that expectation upside down. Beneath the surface of a perfect celebration lay secrets, deep, dark secrets that no one expected. Secrets that would shake families, change lives, and reveal a truth so unsettling, it would leave everyone wondering who they really knew. This is not just a story about a missing bride, it's a story about trust shattered and the shadows that can hide behind even the brightest moments. Before we dive deeper, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us as we uncover every piece of this chilling mystery. In the heart of London, a city alive with history and constant movement, life seems to follow a familiar rhythm. People hurry past, caught up in their daily routines, unaware of the secrets quietly tucked away behind closed doors. It was here, amid the busy streets and grand old buildings, that a story unfolded which would unsettle even the most hardened minds. This story belongs to Emma Langford, a woman who, like so many others, dreamed of a future filled with love and happiness. Emma was set to marry Daniel Mitchell, a man whose life seemed as solid and promising as hers. Their wedding was planned for months, a celebration in a historic London church, attended by close family and friends who believed in their story of love and hope. But as the day arrived, everything changed. Just hours before the ceremony was to begin, Emma disappeared. No one saw her leave. There were no calls, no messages explaining where she had gone or why. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. The moment her absence was noticed, shock rippled through everyone connected to the wedding, the family, the friends, the fiancé. The disbelief was immediate. How could a bride simply disappear on the most important day of her life? The questions started flooding in. Had she run away? Was she a victim of something more sinister? Or was there something else at play, hidden beneath the surface of what seemed to be a perfect relationship? The case quickly drew attention not just for the mystery of the disappearance but for what it revealed about the people involved. As investigators began to look deeper, a complex web of betrayal and secrecy emerged. The story was no longer about a missing bride but about the fragile nature of trust and the hidden corners of human relationships. It became clear that the line between love and deception is often thinner than anyone expects. What made this case especially disturbing was how quickly the people closest to Emma and Daniel began to reveal cracks in their stories. Family members who once seemed united now showed signs of doubt and suspicion. Friends who had celebrated their love questioned what they really knew about Emma's past. And Daniel, the fiancé waiting anxiously at the altar, found himself under a growing cloud of uncertainty. The police discovered details that didn't fit the picture of a joyful wedding day. A series of strange phone calls, unexplained absences in the days leading up to the event, and whispered rumors about secrets Emma had kept even from those she loved. The investigation uncovered a side of Emma's life few had known. Beneath the carefully maintained image of a happy bride-to-be, there were struggles, fears, and choices that hinted at deeper troubles. The more the police dug, the more complicated the story became. It was not a simple disappearance. It was a story about broken promises, hidden pain, and the lengths people go to protect their darkest truths. This case challenged the idea that we can ever truly know the people we love. It showed how even the happiest moments can be overshadowed by doubt and how quickly the ground can shift beneath our feet. The disappearance of Emma Langford was not just a mystery waiting to be solved. It was a powerful reminder that behind every smile, every promise, there can be a secret waiting to unravel the lives of those around us. And in the heart of London, this story would linger, a haunting question of what really happened in those final hours before a bride was meant to say, "I do." Emma Langford was a woman who seemed to carry a natural charm wherever she went. At 28, she had a bright smile and a presence that drew people in, but those who knew her better understood there was more beneath the surface. Emma's past was not without complications. She had grown up in a quiet part of London but had faced challenges that left marks invisible to most. There were whispers about strained relationships in her family and moments in her life where she made choices that some found hard to accept. Yet, Emma always tried to present herself as hopeful and determined, ready to leave those difficulties behind and start fresh. Her fiancé, Daniel Mitchell, was a man whose life appeared stable and successful. At 30, Daniel was an architect with a promising career and a family that stood close around him. His parents, Richard and Susan Mitchell, were well known in their community, respectable, supportive, and proud of the future they envisioned for their son and soon-to-be daughter-in-law. Daniel's life seemed orderly, and the wedding was meant to be a symbol of that stability. Yet, beneath the surface, there were quiet moments that suggested not everything was as perfect as it seemed. Daniel was known to be private, sometimes withdrawn, and those who spent time with him noticed a tension when it came to discussing Emma or their upcoming wedding. Emma's mother, Helen Langford, was a woman marked by a mixture of warmth and worry. She had raised Emma largely on her own after difficult years with her late husband. Helen was protective and often spoke of her daughter with pride, but close friends could see the stress she carried, stress that seemed to grow as the wedding day approached. Helen had her own doubts and fears, though she never voiced them openly. Her relationship with Emma was complicated, sometimes distant, sometimes close, but always layered with unspoken emotions. On the other side, Richard and Susan Mitchell prepared eagerly for the wedding, eager to welcome Emma into their family. They were kind and involved, but also held expectations that put subtle pressure on both Daniel and Emma. The blending of two families, the merging of lives, was never simple, and the differences in backgrounds created small but persistent tensions that would later be examined in the investigation. Detective Inspector Laura Blake was assigned as the lead investigator. Known for her sharp mind and calm approach, Laura had a reputation for solving difficult cases, especially those where answers were not immediately clear. She was methodical, patient, and deeply committed to uncovering the truth, no matter how tangled or uncomfortable it might be. Laura's presence brought a sense of order to the chaos that had erupted after Emma's disappearance. She began by listening carefully to everyone involved, searching for details that others overlooked. One of the most important people in the investigation was Claire Evans, Emma's closest friend. Claire was the last person to see Emma before she vanished. Their friendship had spanned years, filled with shared secrets and honest conversations. Claire described Emma as vibrant but often weighed down by worries she rarely revealed. In the days leading to the wedding, Claire noticed changes, a quiet sadness, moments of hesitation that didn't fit with the excitement everyone expected. Claire's memories would become crucial, providing insight into Emma's state of mind and the hidden pressures she faced. Together, these individuals formed the heart of the story, the people whose lives intertwined in ways that no one could have predicted. Each had their own struggles, their own secrets, and their own roles in the mystery that was about to unfold. Understanding who they were, what they wanted, and what they feared would be key to unraveling the truth behind the disappearance of Emma Langford. The morning of the wedding was filled with a mixture of excitement and quiet nerves. Friends and family gathered in a quaint London neighborhood, preparing for what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of Emma and Daniel's lives. The air buzzed with anticipation, flowers were arranged, the wedding party dressed in their finest, and the historic church where the ceremony was to take place stood proudly, waiting to welcome everyone. Yet, beneath the surface, there was an unusual tension that not many noticed. Small moments, stolen glances, hurried phone calls, and whispered conversations hinted that something wasn't quite right. Emma was calm on the outside, but those closest to her saw a different story. She had moments of silence that stretched longer than usual, a faraway look in her eyes as if she was wrestling with something inside. She spoke less than normal, and when she did, her voice held a strain that made friends exchange worried looks. The hours passed with the usual wedding preparations, but as the time to leave for the church grew near, Emma began to act strangely. Just hours before she was to walk down the aisle, Emma vanished. No one saw her leave. Her room was found untouched, save for a few things missing. Her phone was gone, along with a small leather-bound journal she always carried. Her wedding dress hung neatly on the door, as if waiting for her to return. The air turned cold with confusion. Where could she be? The panic began to rise as calls to her cell went unanswered, messages left ignored. The immediate thought for some was that Emma might have run away, but that idea didn't sit right with many who knew her. There was no note, no sign she planned to leave. Family members were stunned. Daniel stood frozen, his hopes crumbling with each passing minute. His parents struggled to hold back tears, their disbelief palpable. Helen, Emma's mother, was torn between fear and anger, her worry deepening as the minutes dragged on without a word. Friends gathered, trying to piece together any clue that might explain her sudden disappearance. Claire Evans, Emma's closest friend, recalled a heated phone call Emma had just hours before, words spoken in a hushed but tense tone, ending abruptly. What had Emma said? Who was on the other end? Those questions haunted everyone. Suspicions began to surface. Had Emma been pushed to run away? Or was there something darker beneath the surface? Rumors swirled quietly, arguments overheard, unexplained trips taken in the weeks before, someone seen lurking near her apartment. But nothing concrete emerged. The police were called, and the search for Emma began in earnest. Then, a chilling discovery came to light. Hidden beneath a loose floorboard in Emma's room, investigators found a cryptic note, hastily written in shaky handwriting. The message was unclear but hinted at fear and a warning. The note read, "They don't want me to speak. If I disappear, look deeper." Those words sent shockwaves through the investigation. Who was they? What had Emma been involved in that made her fear for her safety? The simple disappearance now took on a new and darker meaning. Witnesses reported sightings of a woman matching Emma's description near the River Thames late that evening, walking alone and looking distressed. Yet, despite the leads, no one could confirm if it was her. The mystery deepened as the hours stretched into days. The day that should have been a celebration had turned into a nightmare. The excitement and joy were replaced by fear, confusion, and questions with no answers. Emma's disappearance was not just a missing person case, it was a puzzle filled with hidden messages, silent cries for help, and shadows that stretched far beyond the wedding day. As soon as Emma failed to show up at the church and stopped answering her phone, the situation quickly escalated from confusion to serious concern. The police were alerted, and Detective Inspector Laura Blake took charge of the case. The moment she stepped into the scene, she understood the delicate nature of what she was dealing with. A bride disappearing on her wedding day was unusual, but the layers beneath suggested something far more complex. The police began their work immediately, starting with canvassing the neighborhood. Officers went door to door, asking anyone who might have seen or heard something unusual. They checked every angle, neighbors' windows, nearby shops, and anyone who might have passed by Emma's flat. Security camera footage became a crucial piece of the puzzle. Investigators reviewed hours of video from cameras near the church, the hotel where guests were staying, and the streets Emma would have traveled. A few blurred images caught their attention, a woman walking hurriedly in the early evening, but the footage was unclear enough that it could not be confirmed if it was Emma. Digging deeper, the police discovered details about Emma's behavior in the days leading up to the wedding that raised eyebrows. Friends and family revealed that Emma had seemed anxious and distracted, sometimes withdrawing from conversations and canceling plans. There were mentions of late-night phone calls she would take in private, disappearing for long periods without explanation. Her friend Claire recalled one moment when Emma seemed upset, speaking about something troubling but never revealing what it was. One of the most significant breakthroughs came when officers found Emma's hidden diary tucked away in her apartment. The diary was filled with entries that painted a picture very different from the joyful bride everyone expected. It spoke of fears, doubts about the future, and mentions of a secret that weighed heavily on her. Emma wrote about feeling trapped and unsure who she could trust. The diary hinted at struggles that Emma kept from nearly everyone, a side of her life previously unknown. Adding to the mystery was a suspicious phone call traced to an unknown number. Investigators learned that Emma had received a series of calls from this number in the days before her disappearance. Attempts to identify the caller led nowhere at first, but police believed this contact could be connected to whatever caused Emma to vanish. False leads complicated the search. At one point, a man was spotted near Emma's flat acting strangely, drawing attention from neighbors. The police investigated him thoroughly but found no direct link to Emma's case. Rumors about a past lover resurfaced, stirring gossip and speculation. Some claimed Emma had secret relationships she never disclosed, but concrete evidence was elusive. Meanwhile, the media caught wind of the story, turning the case into a public spectacle. The press sympathized with Daniel, painting him as a heartbroken fiancé left in the dark. But public opinion was divided, and questions about Emma's past and the circumstances of her disappearance sparked debate and doubt. Was Daniel hiding something? Was the family keeping secrets? The intense media coverage added pressure on the police to solve the case quickly. Detective Inspector Blake methodically interviewed everyone connected to Emma and Daniel, family members, friends, co-workers. Through these interviews, she began to uncover cracks in the seemingly perfect picture of the couple's life. Small contradictions, withheld information, and unexplained tensions came to light. Helen Langford appeared nervous, avoiding certain questions. Daniel was cooperative but guarded, and some friends hinted at arguments between Emma and Daniel in the weeks before the wedding. Each new piece of information brought the investigation closer to revealing the hidden truth, but it also raised more questions. The case was no longer just about finding a missing woman, it was about understanding the complex web of relationships, secrets, and fears that surrounded her disappearance. Detective Blake knew that to solve this mystery, she had to navigate not only the facts but also the emotions and hidden histories that kept the truth locked away. Despite the intensive search and investigation, Emma Langford was never found. Days turned into weeks, and the hope of finding her alive slowly faded, replaced by a haunting silence that left everyone searching for answers that would not come. The police continued their efforts, following every lead, revisiting evidence, and questioning anyone who might shed light on what happened. Yet, no trace of Emma emerged, no body, no message, no sign of where she might have gone. The case eventually grew cold, becoming one of those painful mysteries that linger in the minds of those involved and the community around them. Among the many theories, some believed Emma had chosen to disappear, escaping from a life she no longer wanted, driven by fear or despair. Others suspected foul play, believing that someone close to her might have been involved in her disappearance, hiding the truth to protect themselves or their reputation. There were whispers about secrets kept by Daniel or members of the families, but nothing concrete enough to bring charges or arrests. Daniel Mitchell, the fiancé, was questioned thoroughly. His grief was visible, but police could not ignore some inconsistencies in his story and the strained relationships uncovered during the investigation. However, there was no evidence strong enough to name him as a suspect, and no one else in the family faced formal accusations. The case was marked by frustration, too many questions, too few answers. Without a body or definitive proof, the police were unable to proceed with a trial, and the case remained open but inactive. The community was left to wrestle with the loss and the mystery. Emma's disappearance had a lasting impact, leaving deep wounds in the lives of her loved ones. Helen Langford, Emma's mother, never gave up hope but lived with the constant ache of uncertainty. Daniel's life was forever changed, haunted by the unknown fate of the woman he was meant to marry. This case became a cautionary tale whispered through the neighborhood, a reminder that even the brightest moments can be shadowed by darkness. It left families divided, friendships strained, and the community searching for closure that never came. Emma Langford's story remains one of London's most haunting unsolved mysteries, a puzzle with missing pieces, and a future forever marked by questions without answers. This story reminds us how fragile trust can be, especially when it's built on what we see and choose to believe. Emma's disappearance shows that people often carry parts of themselves hidden away, secrets they protect closely, even from those they love most. Sometimes, the life someone presents to the world is just a mask, and beneath it, there may be struggles, fears, or choices that no one suspects. It's a harsh truth that appearances can be deceiving, and even in moments meant to celebrate love and new beginnings, darkness can quietly exist. It makes you wonder, how well do we know the person standing beside us? Could the one we plan to spend our lives with be hiding things we would never expect? What are the untold stories behind the smiles and the promises? And if secrets do come to light, how do we face the reality of someone we thought we understood completely? These questions linger, without easy answers, because human relationships are complicated, layered, and sometimes, filled with shadow. We want to hear from you. What do you think happened to Emma Langford? Do you believe she left on her own, or was there something else? What might those hidden fears and secrets have been? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. This story may have no clear ending, but together, maybe we can find new ways to understand the mysteries that lie beneath the surface. Thank you for staying with us through this intense and heartbreaking story. If you found yourself drawn into the mystery of Emma Langford's disappearance, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you won't miss any of our upcoming true crime stories that dive deep into the darkest and most puzzling cases. We have another gripping story coming soon, one that will keep you on the edge of your seat, questioning everything you thought you knew. Until then, stay curious and stay safe.